Right, this is Gaz from Redrock, and I'm in the studio with Matt Blakout. I was going to say former Tigertailz drummer, but I guess now we can say current Tigertailz drummer. So,
yeah.
What's happening here then? What can you elaborate on?
Cat's out of the bag. Yeah, back in the band, and looking forward to doing some great things.
So, tell us a little bit about where we are today and what are you doing?
Doing some new songs for an EP we've got coming out. So. Looking forward to that, and they sound great. Did some really good stuff today over the weekend, and really positive and pleased with the songs that we've got together.
All new material.
All new material. Nothing. There is one song that Pepsi did a few years back that we wanted to do it as a bit of a tribute, maybe, and we felt they should get a bit of an air in. So we've redone that, and that's going to be great as well. Everything is Broken, that one's called. So, and it was a bit haunting today actually, because he sings the back-in demo of the track that I use as a guide. So it was a bit haunting to hear his voice once again. But yeah, really looking forward to getting the songs out.
So how far along are you in the recording process?
I think we did 6 or 7 tracks today. So all the drums are done. It's just everything else needs to be worked backwards on top of that. We've got a bit of the singing done. Susie Chunk is back doing some fantastic backing vocals, so she's done a great job, and maybe do some gigs with us.
So who's producing it, and tell us a little bit about the studio where you are.
We're in Redrock Studios in Pengham Point, and Linda Price been engineering and producing it, and he's done a fantastic job. And I told him today he's probably the best drummer in Tigertailz. So it's been really good fun. And Jay has really likes the studio, so we're glad we picked somewhere local to do it. Really, so it's been fantastic.
Okay, well, you mentioned obviously then about Tigertailz drummers. Now, what's happened in recent times is that Ace Fincham obviously was back in Tigertailz, and a few months ago he announced that he was leaving, and one of the things that we heard about was that Ace was told that he was about to be replaced by you, that the band were looking to get you back in the band, and he was going to be replaced. What's the truth behind it all?
It became a self-fulfilling prophecy, really, is the truth of it, because there was never any intention or never any hope to get me back in the band. I've never going to be back in the band. Because they had a drummer. I mean, Ace was in the band and everything was fine. But unfortunately, forces came to bear, evil influences possibly you could call it, on manipulating the situation. And it became a case of the old singer telling Ace I was back in the band, Ace obviously feeling a bit upset about that, as any naturally would. And questioning the guys, Jay, and feeling insecure about his position in the band, as quite rightly anyone would. So when he decided to leave, I'm not sure if it's the only factor. I mean, that's something you'd have to speak to Ace about. But I think obviously there were other issues. But I got to say, me and Jay, we've never had a disagreement even. He was never an element of the band that ever caused me any issues, or there was any ever problem with it. So I'm glad to be back in the band. Firstly, I mean, Ace has made his decision. Obviously, completely up to him. We're good friends, and we hopefully will continue to be good friends. And Ace, whatever he decides to do, best of luck with that. I mean, the reason I came back in the band is because I feel it's there's a story yet to be told. There's another chapter in the book. The band is sounding great. Jules and Rob, a great team. We're a great unit, and I think a lot of bands, it's all about characters, isn't it? And people being able to get on together and work together. I mean, there was a point in Tigertailz that became unfeasible, but I think they're coming out of the wilderness now. Jay is. He's excited to get things moving. We've got there's a lot of offers that's coming in, because people are aware the band is continuing. So we've had some fantastic interest, which will come out in due course. So, there's some great things left to be done. I've done it, there's going to be some great gigs that we're going to do. I did the best gigs I've ever played in my life with Tigertailz. When we played with everybody, Journey, Whitesnake, every big band, Motley Crue, Velvet Revolver, we shared the stage with those bands. So, that's where we belong. So we've got to get the band back up there.
It's a weird symmetry to it, although, excuse me, about Ace and all that, because when it was coming to the time of the end of your first tenure in the band, you had a similar kind of story where the band were touting that they were going around promoters and venues that they were going to get back with Ace Fincham.
Yeah, sure.
So I guess you can feel some kind of sympathy with Ace in this kind of scenario, yeah?
Yeah, and I don't take things personally. I think, as a band which is run as a business, you've got to think what's the best move to get your business the success you want it to have. So I can absolutely agree, and I've had this conversation with Jay in the past, that if someone came into the band who had a higher profile, it would make sense. Ace you can't rewrite history. Ace is the original drummer. A lot of people wanted to see Ace back in the band, and the management at the time felt that it was a selling point, and the band could be more saleable and more, attract a bigger success then, if you like, with Ace back in. So absolutely the right move at the time. But yes, there was talk about getting Ace back in, which is from a personal thing. I'm not talking about my personal feelings about it. For 6 years when I was in the band, I felt that for 6 years certain people saying how much they would never work with him, and those influences seems to be the downfall of Ace's career, really. And it's a shame that has happened. But people make choices, and we are where we are today. So
okay, so. After Ace left, Jay Pepper did an interview with Classic Rock magazine, and it was pretty humbling, and he was pretty honest, I thought, with what he said. But he did say that it could be the end of the band. So obviously this is a big, massive jump in a couple of months from fans reading that it could be the end of the band to suddenly we sat you're back in the band, and a new EP is imminent. Like
I think there was a low point, definitely, and I think Jay felt exasperated with the outside influences of people who at that time had nothing to do with the band, no contact with the band, trying to steer the ship through the water, the Tigertailz ship. And obviously those influences came to the fore with Ace leaving. But yes, I think Jay needed to gather his thoughts again and sort of decide whether he wanted to continue. And also the part of that is the influence of Ace leaving the band. Should that be allowed to allow the band to die? Well, I don't think so, and I think that's why it's going to come back better than ever. Stronger material, solid lineup. The band is firing on all four cylinders. There's nobody with any agendas. It's everybody's on the same page and pushing in the same direction.
Okay. In that same interview, Jay talked about when they did that tour, they with the new lineup, when they did a winter tour, he talked about when it finished, everyone was looking to him to what was going to happen next, like it was all down to him.
Yeah, sure.
And I surely felt a bit of pressure on it. Do you think? Because when your first time in the band, you were pretty vocal. You were the one doing all the coordination with the fans, all the social networking. Do you think that's had a bearing apart from the limited way that you can play drums? Do you think it's got any bearing on why you've had you back? Because it takes the weight off his shoulders, surely, if he feels like it's all down to him.
Well, there's factors within that statement. Yeah, the old management now is gone, so Jay kind of looks after things himself, and I think obviously that's a struggle, to be in a functioning band and do everything. There's two sides of that. Obviously, everyone looks at you to do things, to get things going, and everyone looks at you when things don't go right, or things are not going the way that they want them to go. So that's a big responsibility, I think. But as a footnote to that, I will say that you've all got to be on the same page. You've all got to be pushing in the same direction, but it's got to be tangible and it's got to be realistic, And I think I like to think that we're all quite sensible and intelligent fellas, so let's see if we can get it back on track. Get it back where it should be.
But when I talk then about when you were in the band previously and the rapport you had with the fans, I mean, you were like a kind of stepping stone to the band for the fans. You were almost like a fan yourself. You used to be the one that would correspond with them on, it was MySpace at the time when you first started, then Facebook, the Tigertailz message board. I mean, how many of those fans now, after all this confusion and this kind of revolving door of band members, how many do you think really, really still care about this at this minute? Because I mean, they've no new material. How many do you think are still interested? And can you drag the ones back that have perhaps lost a bit of faith with Kim Hooker going, Ace Fincham going?
I think 4, maybe 5 people. No. Well, I think that it's an impossible question to answer, really. The only thing I could say is, I think that any band has to do it for themselves first of all. I think if you think from the outside in, with how much success you're going to get, how many fans we're going to have, it becomes a bit self-defeating, really. I think you've got to do it for yourself, get the band as best it can be, get the songs as best they can be, and from there is a good starting point, and then, okay, let's see what gigs we can do, let's see what interest is out there. I mean, Tigertailz has always been a European band, we did bigger festivals in Europe, the equivalent of Download and Sonosphere, that Tigertailz never played and never would have had the chance to play in the UK. So Europe, really, and still the offers come from Europe. And now, strangely, there's always been a little bit of interest from America, but America seems to have woken up to the band now. And we've had some great offers for doing some things since the classic rock and since the kind of the reshuffling, really. So in a way, that served the purpose to keep the band's profile out there. And there's been, maybe that's awoken the giant, really. And perhaps America, that's a bit of a euphemism, isn't it? America's the giant that's being awoken by Tigertailz. But I'm completely selfish on this. I want to get out there and do some good gigs. I did great gigs with Tigertailz, so why wouldn't I do this?
Yeah, absolutely. But when the new lineup came back, obviously last year with Jules singing, they released a version of Fall in Love Again.
I'm glad you remember that. I didn't.
I struggled then, but I mean, some of the feedback from it. I mean, I did see that people were glad to have the band back. It was different, obviously without Kim Hooker, but people were interested. I mean, I believe the band played a very well received set at Hard Rock Hour when they did that at the end of the year. But the one thing that was said was why they chose that song to release as a single. From what I gathered, wasn't it just a song that Jay Pepper already recorded, and wouldn't he use at the audition for the new singer?
Exactly.
Yeah? And they just released it. Yeah,
that's exactly right. Yeah, they there was a few songs. I mean, bearing in mind this is the period of time that I wasn't involved.
You knew what was going on.
But I knew that they were audition singers, and they sent them some tracks to put a vocal to, and Fall in Love Again was one of the songs. And I think any band, I am from the Gene Simmons school of rock and roll, so you need to have a product out there. You need to keep pumping the name, keep the interest going, and the band takes on a brand of its own. Never mind 4 members in it. The band is Tigertailz, and we're going to play those songs which have been very successful. The band at an album number 37 in the charts when people actually bought albums. So, this it was a way of getting the interest back to say, here's the band now, and we're going to move forward without Kim Hooker. But I think, and I've said this to Jay, I think it's irrelevant. Do people care if I'm on the drums and always French him? It's about the band, and the band needs to push forward in a positive way.
Well, all I can say is, we've, in the hour that I've been in the studio now before we did this, I've used some of the new tracks, and I have to say that if there are any fans, any doubts, I think they'll be pleasantly surprised at what they're gonna.
Yeah. I believe so. Jay has got, he's on fire. He's come up with some fantastic material, and it's invigorated again. It's really. I can see when Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons got rid of Peter Criss and Ace Frehley and got other people in. It's kind of so refreshing. People are in your corner. They want it to succeed. They're not you know, trying to kick it back all the time or complaining or whatever. You know, everyone is on the same page and they want the band to go forward. So.
But it is a fine line though, because as you say, using the Kiss analogy, you do risk losing a lot of the fans who won't do it because of the original members gone. So it is a fine line. But like you say, using the Kiss again, they got to be happy in the way they work.
Yeah.
I guess it's the same with Tigertailz. You've got to be happy as a band.
Yeah.
And then, like you say earlier, what comes as a bonus then, really?
Yeah. So what's the alternative? The band breaks up.
I kind of got this impression when I spoke to J Pep about the new lineup last year, and it kind of was, it's this or there's no Tigertailz. That's the kind of scenario, yeah.
And you know, there's two reasons that I'm glad that that's not happening. One is, you know, Pepsi would be not happy with the current situation and the way that things have been, you know, manipulated really. And and if it ended because of those circumstances, then that's a sad day. So, you know, there's that side of the reason I'm glad it's going on. Obviously, I'm glad it's going on because I'm going to do some great things. And
from my point of view, I mean, as you know, when I was, you know, in my teens, I was a big. I had Pepsi take here.
Didn't he?
I had Pepsi here, and from my side of it, I mean, you knew him a lot better than me, obviously. From my side of it, it is like, I think he would rather it go out with at least on a good footing rather than it just fade away. And you go on a sad note. I mean, even if you go out, not perhaps on a height that you ever scaled before, but at least on a good footing with some good stuff in the bank, and song wise, not money wise, obviously.
Yeah, let's call it a day when the band is ready to call it a day. You know, not when somebody is manipulated to that circumstances for their own, you know, gain. So no, it's I got to say, I feel in a much better place than I did 3 years ago, obviously, and even in 2006 when I joined the band. You know, it feels far more. It's like a nice pair of shoes. You know, they're comfortable. You slip them on after coming home from work. So no, it feels comfortable to be here, and everything is. There's a lot of things in place this time round. You know, we've got the right people on our side, the right people looking after the right things, the social networking, media, and all that kind of thing. So this time, it won't be left to chance. It's not going to be just. Like a kite that you set up with the wind and see, you know, if it flies, you know, it's not going to fail because we feel that it's got the right things in place to make it succeed. So.
Okay. So obviously part of that now will be Jules and Rob, who make up the rest of the band. So obviously you weren't in the band when they were recruited, but what are your thoughts on them and what it would be like working with them and recording now, obviously?
Yeah. You know, I mean, it's the way that the world is now. You know, you can make things work over oceans apart, you know.
Jules obviously is based in Australia.
Based in Australia. So that's not an issue. That's certainly nothing's going to hold the band back. I mean, obviously I've had limited interaction with Jules. We did the tour with them. Hang Fire did the tour with them. A couple of dates last year. And which was great, fantastic. You know, we had a great time. They're lovely guys, and I think, you know, the enthusiasm for being involved is going to speak volumes. You know, that's going to carry it through.
Well, Jules, he appeared to be, you know, a massive fan of the band originally.
He knows the all the little things that all the people that were involved at the time kind of forget. You know. So yeah, he's a music fan. I think that's what you've got to be first and foremost. You're not going to be someone who wants to be successful or, you know, you know, they've got to be a fan of the music, and, you know, you've got to like the waters that you're swimming in. You know, you can't be doing it for any other agenda. You know, not to meet girls. You know, that's ridiculous. You know, you've got to be doing it for the pure love of making music. And
Rob Wild, obviously on bass now.
Yeah.
Obviously brought in to give some looks to the band.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's a looker. I think he may be the baby of the band now, which is terrible to say, isn't it?
But I remember talking to Jay about that new lineup last year, and he said almost that Rob's recruitment to the band was almost like an afterthought, going to a 5-piece as it was then.
Yeah, sure.
And obviously it's changed since then because Jason Sims was on bass.
Yeah.
And now he's gone and Rob has moved to bass. So what? I mean, obviously you weren't a part of the band then. What do you know about? And can you tell the people about the situation with Jason?
No, I can't tell you. Don't know. Well, I think the band, you know, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but I think the band just wanted to be a slicker outfit. Tigertailz is a 4-piece band. You know, I think if if any band historically who were 5-piece or 4-piece and got another member in, you know, it starts to look a bit weird, you know. So, you know, I mean, Motley Crue, if they got another guy in, you think, what's all that about? You know, that don't quite work. So I think it was, you know, whatever the reasons were for doing it. But of course, Kim played guitar as well, so you know, that element we've got to work out going forward. So no, it needs to be a slick outfit, it needs to look right, it needs to feel right, and I think that's what we've achieved now. So
it's funny you should say then about it looking right, because I remember when Pepsi, before Pepsi passed away, you had Glenn, Nails, Quinn helping out, and then he kind of became, he was not a permanent member, but he did all the gigs, and I guess in a way it would have been nice about how the fans embraced him, because he, you know, they took to him because they were upset then when he finally did, you know, when he left the band. But talking, it was, I mean, from what I gathered, a lot of that was to do with the look, like you say, because, I mean, Tigertailz, as it stood, you were doing that rip-off Murder Dolls Red and Black thing.
Yeah.
And then he was a muddled, well, you know, yellow and black. Yellow and black. You know,
yellow and black. I think
yellow and black. You should do it. Yeah. But I mean, obviously, Nails, muscle-bound Adonis as he is, perhaps didn't fit the look of it. So, from what I can gather of it, the band approached Vicky Spit from Spit Like This to join the band.
Yeah.
Well, was it just a case, because I mean, Spit Like This supported, you were in the band at the time.
Yeah.
Played the Borderline. Spit Like This supported Tigertailz. Was it just a case of, wow, look at her, she would fit, or was it the band actively looking for a female bass player at that time?
No, it was. I mean, Nails was brought on board. Well, he was. I mean, you've got to remember that Nails did gigs with us, 2 gigs with us, I think it was. Well, Pepsi was still alive, you know.
Of course, yeah.
Pepsi was very ill, obviously unable to go for, you know, carry on. So it was kind of with his blessing, and this is what kind of carried it on after Pepsi passed away. You know, he was, because he was endorsed by him, and kind of, you know, that's great. He did suggest using Steve Thatcher, but we didn't.
Steve Thatcher, obviously, aka,
but actually he did.
Stevie Seabright.
Stevie Seabright.
Who was it in the City Kids, the legendary mini Tigertailz
all
back in the day.
interaction. He did suggest it to me. He laughed afterwards, but I, you know, anyway.
Gallows humour.
Yes. Do you know, and the actual circumstances of that, we were offered Hanny Rock's support in Rock City, and the boy couldn't do it, and he said, "Why didn't you get Stevie Seabright to do it?" Anyway, no, that's
I seem to remember a story where Justin Hawkins' name was touted about playing a gig.
He did it. Yeah, he did the Gods and Metal Festival. Anyway, digress. So Nails had the boys Pepsi's endorsement. So from there, we didn't change it. It was a formula that was, you know, we was doing some awesome gigs. I mean, we played with Whitesnake in Europe, out in Italy. We did big festivals, you know, in Spain with Kiss, and well, you name the bands. Just great times, you know. So we didn't want to change something that could upset the you know, the harmony in the band at the time. And then we started to think about how we could improve the way the band felt, and you know, so we played quite rightly with Vicky's band, and she looked great. I mean, she was a female Nikki Sixx, you know. That was the look, you know. That was it. So I think the seed was planted at that time. You know, I mean, I think 2/3 of the band kind of felt she looks like Nikki Sixx. That is a great vibe. You know, another element of the band maybe was thinking of their own agenda with that going on. But anyway, so, you know, we thought, let's just look for a female bass player. Great idea, because it's a left. It comes from left field of replacing Pepsi Tate, you know. It's not, we're not replacing him.
Because obviously Nails was never an official member, so it was like if we had an official female member, it's not as if we replacing Pepsi the boy with.
It felt more comfortable. We felt more at home with that. So history speaks for itself. You know, we got a female bass player.
But Vicky obviously wasn't it.
No.
And then I believe, didn't you approach? I mean, Sarah Firebrand eventually joined the band, but she wasn't even second choice, I don't believe.
No, there was another Hannah, who's a wonderful person and awesome bass player.
Hannah Fox, you played in some bands before,
She was on the very short list of someone who could do it, and you know, for whatever reason at the time, circumstances, it just didn't kind of fall into place. But she would have been absolutely awesome. She would have put us clowns to shame, really, you know, because she was
music-wise, yeah,
absolutely proper, you know. But there you go.
So of course Sarah Firebrand joined then, and Jay has gone on record as saying that the addition and recruitment of a female bass player was the start of the downward spiral of the band. Then, would it be just the female bass player or her specifically? I mean, he said that it's not a personal thing about it; it's more a female thing, but. He said that the recruitment of a female bass player, which obviously you all, the three of you at the time, thought would have been the thing to push the band on, essentially is what, you know, suffocated it, yeah?
Yeah, no disrespect to Sarah, she's a lovely person, you know. Again, it felt the right thing to do. It was the right thing, badly executed really. But yeah, so Sarah was on the radar sort of thing, and then she came in, and it wasn't, you know, it wasn't the dynamics had obviously changed from that moment, but it just wasn't, you know, it wasn't the right feel, it wasn't the right thing. So but only as in hindsight can you say these things. And you know, this was close to the time that I was obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I remember her first gig was one of the only time, the worst time I think that I've ever seen Tigertailz. And it was nothing on her part. It was, I mean, it looked like you weren't really there. You knew that you were, you know, the end was nigh for that stint of BAMU, yeah?
I think I did 3 gigs at that point. We did the one we recorded the live album, if you will. When we did 2 festivals abroad, and the second festival was with XYZ and Crash Diet, and that was quite a big festival, but at that time I think they were already looking to bring Ace in anyway, so but you know, Sarah, she you know, she was in my corner apparently. I mean, I wasn't there at the time, but she felt that she didn't want me to leave because I helped her, and I, you know, tried to encourage and bring it out of her, you know, to be a rock star, you know. So I did my best with that, and I think everyone, you know, Jay also. I mean, there were other agendas with other people, but we did the best to work with what we had, you know. And like I say, I was gone shortly after. So
personally, on my point of view, I mean, I saw Tigertailz a few times with Sarah Firebrand, and I didn't think it was a good fit myself. I could have seen the Vicky Spitz thing without a doubt. Sure. Sarah, as again, I mean, nothing personal. I did the very first interview with her when she joined Tigertailz. Nothing personal. Again, from a fan outside looking in, it didn't look like a good fit, and I had a bit of flack for saying that it didn't look a right fit from Kim Hooker, who was the singer at the band at the time. Yeah. But of course, little did I know at the time that there was some kind of ulterior motive behind all of that. So I mean, it's sad in a way, I guess, that it wasn't musically speaking why the downward spiral that Jay talked about actually started. It became not about the music.
No, exactly. You know, all got very muddy, all got very confused, and it was spiraling out of control to a crashing end. You know, so something had to give, and obviously it did give. The bow did break, so to speak. Okay. And you know, as we move on from there, really, you know. Yeah,
well, I mean, Jay Pepper now, obviously being the only original member. I know Kim wasn't an original member, but a lot of fans did just get into it from Berserk. Sure. The album was so massive, so they essentially forget about Stevie James, some of the people, and they think Kim of him as an original member. Yeah. I mean, Jay now being on his own, do you think that he is perhaps, I don't know, I wouldn't say rewriting history, but is he perhaps passing all the buck onto Kim Hooker because Kim has disappeared? He's not really socially active and getting his message out, his side of the story out there. Do you think that on one hand that Jay perhaps is colouring it to make himself look in a good light about how things turned out, or do you think that perhaps basically Kim is getting away with some of the stuff he did because he's not out there answering the questions?
Well, I think Jay is not one to air his dirty linen in public, you know, and I think he was forced into a position with regards to the classic rock thing to have some kind of riposte, because, you know, it's not nice, you know, as a parent to talk to hear people saying bad things about your children, you know, and I think that's how he sees Tigertailz, as his child, you know, so, which is quite rightly so, justified. It's not nice to people, everyone in, you know, with regards to social networking, to be talking, you know, disrespecting the thing that you love, you know, and really either telling lies or manipulating circumstances, or, you know, not telling the whole truth. I mean, there's two sides to every story, you know, so I think that was the reaction that he came out with, and I think he was very kind, actually, in because he could have said a lot, you know, he could have taken it a lot further and been completely outright with the facts, you know, but, you know, he put it over succinctly in, you know, and he was kind, really, in what he said. So it was a reaction to all the social networking and people, you know, gaining the sympathy vote and being, you know, oh, how could they do this to you, kind of thing. You know?
It was a kind of getting the truth out there without actually getting the whole truth out there, kind of thing. Still protecting people when perhaps they're not deserving of it, really, though. But I guess being diplomatic, I think it was about as far as he could have, you know, pushed it, and still, you know, kept some kind of harmony about it all, really, or good feeling about it all. But, you know, he was pushed into that position to do it. Simple as that, you know. Simple as that, by other people manipulating the circumstances. I mean, I talk about being diplomatic. I mean, obviously we say Jay is like it, but I mean, knowing you personally, I think you being very diplomatic yourself about the way you've come back into the band, and now you're going full tongs into it again, and you know, really you're going to go for broke on it. I just know that you will do it. Especially given what happened, I mean, the circumstances of you going. I mean, you talked earlier about recording the live album at Fibble on that night. I mean, the live album came out, you played on it, you were on the cover of it. I mean, the Robin Guy who'd come in as some kind of hired gun, his picture was on it. I mean, that couldn't have made you feel the best about it, really.
To be honest with you, I didn't care. I kind of blanked it over. That chapter of the book was written and closed, you know. So, no, I didn't. You know, I didn't think that they owed me anything or I owed them anything, really. We'd done some fantastic shows, and I played gigs that people only wish to play, you know. So I met people along the way that, you know, you aspire to be. So, no, I had no regrets, and no, you know, I never felt that I was being hard done by. The band, I could completely see the decision to get Ace back in, to capitalise on as much interest as they could. So, you know, it was the right thing to do at the time. I had a great time in the band. You know, I over the years I've seen it, the things that have happened, and you know, you take a notice, people ask you about it, and people talk to you about it. But you know, I think you just manage the circumstances the best you can at the time, which is obviously what Jay was trying to do. So, you know, trying to make the best out of you know, the problems that occurred, you know, and it just became a point, obviously, where he just couldn't do that, and you know, I was out of the band and all that kind of thing. So it's bands, isn't it? You know, people, you know, marriages, you know, people change, you know, people have different ideas about things. You know, I mean, it's just the way it is, the way of life.
But there are certain ways and certain things that people do and ways of going around things. And of course, what you found out that you were out of the band by email. You were emailed your glam P45.
Yeah, sure.
So I mean, if it was me personally, I'd still be mailing them turds. You yourself, I mean, you forgiven. You forgive. You're coming back to it. It's like, it's water under the bridge. Is it just a case of you really want to do this, so it's forgotten, or did it really, at the time, you were in such a place that you knew it was coming that it just didn't matter?
I think if you bear grudges towards people, you know, I think you're going to lose the battle. You know, I think if you understand it and get the better of it and think, okay, well, I understand the circumstances of that, then I think you've got to see something positive in everything. I mean, you know, things happen for a reason, whether you think that they're good and bad at the time. I mean, I play with Verd and Alan from Montehoopel, you know, that's big time, you know. That's I've had some great opportunities, you know. I've done some great things since Tigertailz, you know. I mean, Hang Fire, we're recording our second album now, and it's, you know, it's very important to me, and the band's very important to me. And every person involved, you know, in everything I do are very important to me. So, you know, I'll give it all to whatever I get involved with, and I'll make it work. It won't fail, you know, because it's not within me to fail. You know, I like to think, you know, I'm a winner, not a wanker. But no, it's gonna work. You know, it's gonna be good. So.
Okay, so how did it actually come about that you joined again now? When was the first
I had
dialogue? You're not scared of opening them anymore, eh?
I'll tell you a funny story about the email. We were at Download backstage in the VIP area, and this guy comes up to me. I was sat with the ex-manager, Mikey, and this guy comes up and he said, well, why did you leave, Matt? I said, well, I didn't leave, I had an email. And I looked at Mike, he said, in fact, he was the one who sent me the email. And this guy was like, okay. So, no, well, I mean, I was aware of the circumstances going on. I was, you know, I knew that there were people involved with the band at the time telling me that I was going to be the next drummer, or, you know, what's going on, and I didn't know anything about it.
This obviously coming from the rumours that Ace Fincham was told that that he was being let go, you were going to replace him, yeah?
Absolutely. Ace
and there was no truth in that, obviously. We saw that earlier.
I'd swear on my mother's life, no truth in it whatsoever. Ace texted me, and I said to him, look, you know, there's no truth in it, it's not happening, it's unfounded, whatever your fears are. No, it's going to happen. And he, you know, and he's probably there thinking, yeah, I told you so, you know. But, you know...
it certainly looks like it. We understand it, but obviously the way that you say it happens, it wasn't like that. You were approached after this several weeks, at least after it happened, yeah?
Let me just, two things I want to say here. I love Ace to bits, you know. I love him to bits. He's wouldn't harm anybody. He's not a bad bone in his body. But the reason that I'm in the band is because he's left. No other reason whatsoever. If he had issues and he wanted to speak to Jay about it, Jay would have spoken to him about it and addressed those things, and you know, maybe, you know, things would be different right now and I wouldn't be talking to you about this. But the top and bottom is that Ace left the band, and that created the circumstances. Whatever reasons Ace left the band is completely, you know, is up to him. And if he felt that he was going to get kicked out because I was coming back in or whatever, none of that is true. But you know, and aside to that I felt that you know, with Kim Hooker telling him I was going to become, they were going to kick him out and get me back in the band. You know, that's a prophecy totally fulfilled by Kim Hooker. You know, he's created the circumstances.
So he's kind of tried to force a rift and force a split in the band, which I guess in that way he succeeded. But the way it's come about, instead of weakening it, it does look stronger now. Because, like I said, we're in the studio today, and I've heard some of the new tracks, and they sound great. Yeah.
You know, I mean, my feelings are that he felt that he wanted to get back in the band himself, maybe Sarah as well. So, you know, if he manipulates the end of the band so that it collapses, you know, maybe in a couple of months, you know, he'd be on the phone to Jay saying, look, let's give it a go. You know, I mean, maybe, you know, we can hypothesize about situations, but, you know, who knows? Who knows? So,
where we are today, we're obviously in the studio, we touched on it earlier. New tracks.
Yeah, because
I mean, there was a story that Jay said that he was basing some stuff on a short film that Pepsi had made, The Shoe Collector.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, yeah, I believe there's a song based on that.
Yeah, and you heard it today, and it's just fantastic. It's classic Tailz with an absolute up-to-date sort of edge. Pays homage to some of our heroes as well. So, you know, it's going to be a big song. Yeah, Pepsi made a short film, The Shoe Collector, and it was, I don't know what the purpose of releasing was. I remember having a conversation with Pepsi at the time about the film, and I think there was always a bit of a vibe about maybe doing something tying with the band. But we've got the short film. It's absolutely fantastic. So it could well be that will become the lead song of the EP, the volume 1 of the EP, which suggests there'll be a volume 2. So. Yeah, and everything, the material is absolutely, you know, it's kicking, it's on fire, so I can't wait to get it out there, really.
Where would you put it, sound-wise, with the Tigertailz of old? Because, I mean, I listened to some of it, I mean, there's some Waz bones about it.
Yeah,
people
sure.
Would, you know, that kind of, so there's on the heavier side of it, some of the stuff, really, you know, some big riffs on there.
Yeah, I mean, every song kind of tells a different story, really. It paints a different picture and a different flavour. You know, there's a bit of classic Tailz in there. You know, I mean, when we were recording it, you know, Lyndon mentioned it just sounds like the sweetest song. You know, so there's flavours, and hopefully somebody will pick up on all those flavours, and hopefully at the end of the day it'll sound like Tigertailz. So.
How far along in the process are we now? And obviously, you've done drum tracks. Have you finished your drums now?
Yeah, drums. There's a few more drum tracks to do. Those songs need to be completed as in arrangements. I think there's 2 or 3 of those. I'm not sure of the what the circumstances are because of the 2 EPs. Of which, if you're going to split the songs or write more songs.
How many songs have you recorded altogether then? No,
I think it's 6.
Okay.
6 songs. That are completely finished, really. So
it may come out as 2 volume 1.
Yeah. And it always amazes me. Jay comes up with the goods, so he really come up with some great stuff for this. But of course, he's enthused. He's.
Well, what surprised me today when I walked in, and obviously you were still in the studio playing, and I used some of the tracks.
Trying to get that drum fill right.
Yeah, I was glad you stopped because I felt embarrassed for you.
Yeah.
And it took us an hour to get the gaffer tape off your hands. We got the sticks gaffer tape on. But what I got out of it is obviously in the time that Tigertailz fans have been thinking about what Jay Pepper said about it could be the end of the band, in that time it's very obvious that he's had some great songs in the bag that obviously you've now got down, because they really, I can't see many Tigertailz fans being disappointed as long as they wouldn't invest in the band again, and they, perhaps the band hasn't gone too far into alienating him, I guess, with all this saga. Yeah,
well, it's I've always said with the band, and whenever I've been involved with the band, if you give us a stage and give us a crowd, we'll deliver the goods. If I can pinch that from Rob Alford, as I do.
Is that the only thing?
We just need the platform to show whoever is out there in front of us that really the band can do what it needs to do. So. We'll have those opportunities, hopefully. First trip to America for Tigertailz as well, as a performing band. So we're really looking forward to that, and just some great things to come, really.
So when can the fans expect the first new music to be out there for them to buy or listen to?
Well, as soon as possible. Absolutely, as soon as possible. We've signed 2 deals. For the EPs, different companies. So, more details of that will come out shortly. But, we're excited that there's people out there still putting pressure on the band to release new material, So that's really got us going. It's got Jay going to get these songs together, and he's done a fantastic job. Absolutely brilliant.
So when can we expect to see the band live again?
That's a good question, isn't it? There's talk of something towards the end of the year. I know we've been offered dates around Europe, so I think maybe possibly there's definitely European dates going on, but whether I'm sure we'll play in the UK. Tails do Hard Rock Hell every year, don't they? I've done it 3 times, I believe, with them. So
remember that time you fell off the stage?
There was the time I fell off the stage. I had to fall off the stage so that Metal Hammer would give me they gave me the actual timeline of Metal Hammer. I had my own. Matt Blakout fell off the stage. So it was all for the art, isn't it? It's all for the art, So yeah, I might if I get back there, I might actually fall over again. So no, we hopefully soon. That's all we can say. As soon as the band is ready to go, we'll be doing it. But next year, definitely all the festivals.
Well, if my word counts for anything, I see that there's a hunger back in your eyes to do this band again. I've heard the new songs today. I would say, if I'm being honest, this is the most exciting time for a Tigertailz fan for a while.
Let's hope so.
I would say for a few years at least. And it's not just about you being back. That would almost be insisting that the times in between mattered for nothing, and that you were a major factor for it. But seriously, I think that the fans looking at this now, they should just, the enthusiasm coming from you themselves should get a couple of people excited about it. And like I say, I think that when they hear some of these songs, then I think a lot will be forgotten, and they'll really embrace it.
I think so. Another factor to remember is the Tails. They since reforming, they've never recorded with any other drummer. Only been me. So
do you think that was because they were haunted by the experience, or?
took them all that time.
Have they
to
reached
get
the
over
top
it.
of the mountain, or were they not going up there again? But no, that is a good point, yeah. Because like I say, there were a lot of gigs, a lot of lineup changes, but
Yeah.
you know, not stuff recorded. And like you say, the single that came out, the charity single with Jules singing, was actually recorded by Jay, and just Jules' vocals added onto it, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and there'll be a video as well to go with the song. So we've already been asked for a video by a major rock publication. So it's going to be it's got the right platform to springboard to good things ahead.
And I would anticipate that there will still be work for the charity that in Pep's
sure.
name. Yeah,
very important, very close to our hearts is the everything we do is in the name of the AMSA Just in Time that Sean Cotty, Pepsi's wife, set up after his passing. So yeah, it's all relevant to gaining awareness and building awareness for pancreatic cancer. Yeah.
Right. Well, I think you've got through everything.
It's a wrap.
I'm glad to see you back, because I think there was a bit of unfinished business there, and I hope you get to finish it.
Yeah. Can I finish off trying to do these drum tracks properly now?
I wouldn't bother.
Okay.
Anyway, Matt Blakout,
Great.
Tigertailz drummer. Thank you very much.
Thank you.